big Sunday love, my little cuddle monkeys. Welcome back to Grand Prix World and the Arrows playthrough. You join me on the cusp of entering the breach once more, dear friends, for the 2006 FIA Formula 1 World Championship season. Shall we dive in? I think we should. So, obviously, Pedro Diniz is our 2005 Drivers' World Champion. I am the Manager of the Year because I am epic, and the 2005 Constructors' Champions are, of course, Arrows. We continue to dominate the sport, and 2005 overview is that it was a fantastic performance for us. Of course it was. I've moved up the leaderboards. That's good. Now, 2006. So, big changes, first of all. Obviously, Alexander Wurz has moved into Giancarlo Fisichella's vacated seat for a fraction of the cost. Partnering two-time world champion Pedro Diniz, Dan Patterson, the random American we picked up off the street, will now be our permanent reserve driver. Morale is high. What's very interesting is that Wurz has actually improved over the season at Ferrari with all his pole positions. He's actually become a much stronger driver. He's now a much stronger performer statistically than Diniz, particularly in terms of skill and outright speed. They're evenly matched on overtaking and concentration, bad weather performance. But it was a lot closer when I signed him. But nevertheless, that's fine by me because we'd still have two very, very strong drivers. And let's not forget, when we signed Fisichella, he was a much stronger he was a much stronger driver than Diniz, and Diniz still managed to beat him twice. So we shouldn't maybe worry for Pedro too much there. In the commercial department, we've had some got some vacancies to fill because we now have a bigger factory. Same in the design office. Again, I'm gonna be spending money on staff now because we have, for the first time, a totally maxed out factory. Now, of course, it won't stay fully maxed out because technology moves on. It might be next season we have to upgrade the CAD and CAM system again because we've had those maxed out for quite some time. However, we should now be in a position to completely dominate this season. It will be a turkey shoot. It really will. We're still going to start early on next year's car because we can. And it might be that we can actually, in testing, uncover what we need to uncover to begin improving our car straight away. Now we have a testing rig, and we've got a research and development car, and we've got a wind tunnel, and everything that we need to sort of boost all our data collection. Excuse me, sorry, I've still got a bit of a throat thing. Right, we shall then begin our efforts this season with testing. Actually, no, we won't. It's a pre-season preamble ramble. Why did none of you stop me? Jesus. I'm supposed to be talking about what lineups are up and down the grid, so let's do that. Shouldn't even be doing race prep at this point. Okay, so excuse me one moment. I still shouldn't be recording. I really shouldn't, but never mind. Hopefully you forgive me. World Champions Arrows partner Pedro Diniz with Alexander Wurz, Dan Patterson, sorry, as test driver. Diniz's final season is next season, so we should really think about making sure that we sign him up, because we don't want to lose him. Oh, we actually agreed we were going to give him a huge bonus. I'm not going to pay him $1 million to win a race, actually. I just realised I could very easily bankrupt the team. What I'm going to do is give him 80,000 for winning a race, but for a championship, we can make a millionaire of him, I think. I think that's reasonable. Okay, so he wants a short contract, and we'll figure out the details. We don't want to lose him, ideally. Looking down to Benetton, Toru Takagi and Shinji Nakano partnered in an all-Japanese effort at Benetton. Mika Salo is their reserve driver. At Ferrari, our old friend Giancarlo Fisichella moves into the number one driver role at Ferrari, replacing Alexander Wurz. His number two will be David Coulthard, inexplicably, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen has committed till 2008 as Ferrari test driver, which is an odd call indeed. At Jordan, Juan Pablo Montoya has moved into the number one driver role. He's been at Jordan a while now. He's also had a stint at Tyrrell. I don't know how he's come along actually, but he should have gained some skill. He has gained some skill actually. He's doing okay. That's pretty good development rate given how late he got into the sport. He'll be partnering much more experienced driver Johnny Herbert, who will be his number two. Ricardo Zonta will be the test driver there. At McLaren, equal number one drivers will be Mika Hakkinen and Eddie Irvine, supported by our very own Carl Eisen, who still can't get a race seat in this sport for love nor money. Over at Minardi, Jean Alesi, the 41-year-old Frenchman, is the team leader, an incredibly talented one at that, partnering number two driver Luca Badoa, who has continually disappointed during his stints in Formula 1 in this game. Patrick Rainbow, with the best name in the world, will be the test driver over at Minardi. Prost continue with Alessandro Marini, who, let's be honest, has been there forever. Is in the final year of his 5-year deal. He has improved in wet weather and concentration, but nothing else. Esteban Tuero will be his teammate, who is actually a very promising young driver who's totally wasted there, to be honest. For some reason, Prost have chosen, despite being the worst performing team on the grid with the lowest budget now, they have chosen to pay an exorbitant amount to put Damon Hill in the test drive role for 4 seasons. Lol, game. Just lol. Celso Moreira has moved into a team lead slot at Sauber. He'll be sharing number one driver duties with Jörg Müller. Moreira, is kind of sad to see him relegated to Sauber. He's developed reasonably nicely actually, and he was always a strong performer during his stints at Ferrari and Jordan, but nah, wasn't to be. The Sauber test driver continues to be one Ralph Smashy Schumacher. Down at Stewart, Jan Magnussen returns to the team to take the number one driver role. 32-year-old Dane with a very sort of skill set. Really nothing to be writing home about. Emmanuel Collard and his ridiculous hair will be serving as his number two. Jarno Trulli sadly relegated to a reserve driver role. We might rescue him from that if Pedro Diniz decides to leave the team, which hopefully he does not. Down at Tyrrell, Johnny Newhouse continues as the lead of the leads. I mean, they've technically given him equal number one status with Stefan Sarazan, but let's face it, that's not really what's happening. Sarazan, of course, has had a few race seats now, but has never improved. Laurent Redon, another ridiculous-haired gimp, will be their test driver. Then down at Williams, Ricardo Rosset has somehow inexplicably, despite being 37 years old and crap, got equal number one status with one Michael Schumacher. Their test driver will be John Fellows, who has improved but not enough. Out of the sport remain Andrea Montemini, Rubens Barrichello and Olivier Panis, and we have still a bunch of non-F1 drivers, but none of them are established names, which is quite unusual. So that means all the major players are still in the sport, which is, I suppose, good news. Taking a look at the engineering side of the coin, who is running what this season, I wonder. In terms of team sponsors, East are sponsoring Ferrari. We will be sponsored by Murano, and Winfried continue their arrangement with Williams. McLaren pick up a deal with Playlife. Jordan are partnered with Blondes. Prost with Buzzin' Hornets, and Red Bull are backing Benetton till 2007. In the engine scene, let's take a look at the stats here. Ferrari seem to have put out possibly their worst engine in a few years, actually, as have Mercedes. Ferrari will be the works partner of McLaren. Not entirely sure that that's going to be a good deal for McLaren given how weak the engine is this year. Very surprised by that. I guess they haven't had a lot of R&D moving towards their engine since very few teams have been partnered with them down the last few years. Mercedes-Benz, again, that's the weakest engine I've seen them put out in the length of this playthrough, I think. Particular weak points are obviously fuel economy and heat tolerance, but also the delivery of power has gone back and reliability has also dropped, so that's not great. Additionally, what doesn't help with an increase in a decrease, in overall power is the increase in weight of the unit, which is surprising. Williams and Benetton both running Mercedes power this year, and again, might have been sold a bit of a duffer there. Although, so far, I would say that out of the three that we see on this first screen, maybe Ferrari would be the better compromise, but not by much. Peugeot have a surprisingly good engine, although it is very weak in terms of power and reliability. The other stats are very impressive. They will be powering Stewart this season. Mugen Honda actually have a better engine, in my humble opinion, than the top three. The weakness there obviously being the reliability, which is very poor, but it's something that could be buffed out by taking 1 or 2 points off some other attributes and reapplying them. I'd probably knock the power down by 1. I'd probably make the engine a little bit heavier. And I'd maybe knock up 1 off heat tolerance actually and get the reliability up to an even 5, and that will probably get me through a season as an upper mid-tier team, and that would be no problem whatsoever. So Sauber and Prost could have looked in there. That's the best engine Mugen Honda have put out in the length of this playthrough as well. Our own partners Ford, who have become the partner of choice, the one that everyone's chasing, providing works power to ourselves and partner power to Ferrari and Jordan, which is sad because Jordan in particular are probably going to be our closest rival again this season. Very fuel efficient, the Ford unit. Heat tolerance isn't fantastic, but the power is up there with the Mugen Honda, joint most powerful engine on the grid. Reliability is very, very poor though. It's very responsive, decent rigidity, decent weight. I'd arguably take the Mugen Honda. For the opening rounds because of the weight advantage, but nevertheless, it's something that we can turn around in a test or two, I'm very confident. Moving down, Mechachrome, again, as ever, very strong engine given the customer status of the teams associated with them. Tyrrell and Minardi will be powered by Mechachrome this season. Frame rate, where are you, frame rate? Moving on to tyres, and really, there's nothing between these tyres, to be honest. I'd say Bridgestone are arguably a little bit stronger in the wet, but other than that, it's a very even playing field. Downside being the wet weather tyres for Goodyear have a real problem getting up to temperature. Taking a look at who's running what, though. Goodyear are works partners of ourselves and Williams. Sauber will be a customer of Goodyear this year. Stewart will be a partner, as will Benetton. A lot of Goodyear teams this year. Bridgestone will be partners to Prost and Jordan, work supplier to Ferrari, and customer supplier to Minardi. Work supply of Bridgestones goes to McLaren, and the Tyrrells will be shod in customer Bridgestones this season. Ferrari and McLaren probably winner of the tyre wars there, because as a Goodyear team this year, we suffer from that very real temperature deficit in the full wet tyre that Goodyear have provided this year. But again, we can develop our way out of that problem, so it's not necessarily an issue for us. The two works contracts with Shell go to McLaren and Ferrari. Meanwhile, we are works partners to Mobile, Williams receiving a partner supply. Texaco have partnered with Tyrrell. Agip have given a customer supply to Sauber and a partner supply to Stewart. Partner supplies of Total Fuels for Benetton and Prost. Elf will partner with Jordan and give a customer supply to Minardi. Let's take a look at the stats here. I think those teams running Agip will actually do okay this season. Mobile again, very consistently middle of the road. I'd still definitely take Mobile over Shell. Again, the Texaco teams as well looking pretty strong. Although to be fair, I think Mobile is the race fuel to begin the season with, so we're in the best possible position there. And Elf, I think teams like Minardi are going to definitely benefit from the additional motor tolerance that this fuel provides, without being hugely underpowered in terms of the power drawn from those race fuels. It's a very good compromise choice, and given that they'll be running Mechachrome power this year, an engine that is very clunky and very prone to failures surrounding vibration in the engine block, having a fuel with a relatively high engine tolerance level without too much deficit in terms of power is a very good option for them. So I think Minardi might actually do okay out of this, to be honest. Jordan probably feel the benefit a little bit less, but it's still a good middle of the road fuel to be equipped with. In terms of predictions, it's really hard to guess what's going to happen. I still would expect Jordan to be there or thereabouts. You might see McLaren or Ferrari return to be the primary challenger, although I think it's far more likely to come from Ferrari than McLaren necessarily this season. I really can't see beyond ourselves for Constructors and Drivers' Championship this season. I think the infrastructure at the team is just going to be far too strong now for us to be consistently challenged. But please do join me next time, where we will find out if we will be consistently challenged. I hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. Please do enjoy the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix today. Have a beer for me if you can have one, and you and I will hang out again for a proper episode when hopefully I'm not feeling quite so sick during the week. Take it easy.